Okay, so we've got at least one more video. I'm looking through the questions as I go. Eating disorders is another question a lot of people had about. And some basic types of eating disorders would be anorexia nervosa and bulimia. And then there's also binge eating. And then we also know that not everybody who has what we call disordered eating has an eating disorder. A lot of us have unhealthy relationships with food, and we have disordered eating. We eat when we're not hungry, or we deny ourselves food because we see certain foods as bad. And I'm not talking about if you have celiac disease and you don't eat gluten, but I'm talking about if you have like this love-hate relationship with certain food categories like sweets. But let's stick to, instead of the disordered eating, which is very complicated, we could talk for hours about that. Let's talk about the anorexia and bulimia. With anorexia, you have a significant reduction of calories. Some people will eat as little as 100 or 200 calories a day. It's similar to an obsession disorder, compulsive disorder, where they're obsessive about their calorie intake. They will do things to cover this up. They will play with their food. They will spit their food into napkins. They dress in oversized clothes so you can't tell how small they are, but they never feel like they're small enough. And you will see them have a significant problem with their physical health because of this. For women, they'll stop having periods. They will lose bone mass. They will lose muscle mass. They can have heart disease. It is one of the deadliest psychological disorders. Even if you're in remission, there's a musician named Karen Carpenter, and she died from the effects of anorexia. She'd been in remission for a long time, but she had done so much damage to her body, it didn't matter. And then there's bulimia. And bulimia, you have these periods where you binge, where you eat a whole bunch of food, and then you purge. You either throw it up, or you take a diuretics, which don't work that, because that's just peeing, or you take laxatives. So this is also very bad for your body. You can see things like you can burn out your esophagus from all the acid in your vomit. You mess up your electrolytes, you cause heart damage. So they're both very damaging physically and psychologically, obviously. And then with binge eating, it's not like, oh, it's Thanksgiving, I'm gonna eat all the food. No, you just shove food in your face, in your mouth, and usually it's to kind of fill up an emotional void. It's more severe than just, I had a breakup and I'm eating a tub of ice cream. It's more pervasive than that. It's a complicated disorder. There are some, is there a genetic component? Probably. There's a genetic component to most things, but there's also a lot of environmental issues. And a lot of good documentaries out there about eating. There was one on HBO, and I think it's just called Thin. It followed several women through their treatment in a facility with an eating disorder facility. Women do have a higher incidence of eating disorders than men do. You will see some men, especially wrestlers, with disordered eating, but usually it's only during wrestling season. But for some of them, it can become more of a long-term issue. And okay, making sure if there's anything else on that one. And I had someone ask me about serial killers. Okay, so a lot of people think that most serial killers have something called multiple personality disorder, which, by the way, is no longer called multiple personality disorder. Wish it were kind of was easier, but now it's called dissociative identity disorder because it's in the category of dissociative disorders, meaning you're having a break with reality. Not in a schizophrenia way, not in a delusion hallucination way. You are having a break from your reality, yourself. So with a dissociative identity disorder, the theory is that with children who are exposed to repetitive, horrific trauma, that they develop other personalities to deal with the trauma. And what starts out as play acting or fantasy play or just kind of going somewhere else in your head becomes uncontrollable, or they are no longer in control of when they come in and when they go out. And there have been serial killers who've tried to get off and found not guilty by reason of sanity by using this as a defense. But as far as I know, there has never been a serial killer who had multiple personality disorder. For one thing, serial killers tend to be very organized. And people with dissociative identity disorder are not, because, they're going in and out of awareness. Now, I will say, I would hazard a guess that every serial killer had a certain personality disorder, which would be antisocial personality disorder. I don't know this for a fact, but based on what I know about the two, that's my thought. Antisocial personality disorder, people think it means you don't like to be around people. That is not true. That's asocial. Antisocial means you don't care about society's norms and you don't care if you hurt people. There's a significant lack of empathy. There's a significant disregard for society rules. And for serial killers in particular, they enjoy hurting people. And I was talking to somebody about shame versus remorse. I think remorse is healthy. I hurt someone, I feel remorse. Shame, not so much. I never heard of a serial killer who felt remorse, but a lot of them did feel shame, especially in early childhood. And I think that answers that question. How do people become this way? Lots of theories. From what I understand, it's frequently abuse and early exposure to violent porn, some kind of violence with sexual behavior. Okay, and I think that might be all of the disorders that y'all ask questions about. There's some that are pretty rare, some that I actually am gonna have to do research on. So I will answer those specifically in your discussion post. So I hope this gave y'all a little bit of insight. We'll talk about treatments and interventions next week. And if there's something else that y'all don't see in this, if something you want to know more about, please feel free to ask in your discussion questions and I'll try to answer. Thank you.